on legislation to protect the right to an abortion. It is the landmark Women's Health Protection Act, and I want to thank Senator Schumer, Senator Blumenthal, and Senator Baldwin for all of their leadership as well on this really important bill. And I would really like to acknowledge the many, many women and men in my state and across the country who shared their really personal stories with me about what the right to an abortion has meant to them and to their loved ones. This vote comes at a really critical time because while Democrats have been working to protect abortion rights, make it easier to get birth control, invest in family planning, and more, Republicans are actually hoping Roe will fall. And of course, we know that's been their plan all along. Republicans have made it abundantly clear they want a world in which they, as politicians, get to decide what women can do with their bodies, their lives, and their futures. That is not what the vast majority of Americans want. The vast majority of Americans want a country where the very personal, individual decision about pregnancy is, wait for it, up to the individual. Up to the individual. Where women and families are free to make their own decisions about pregnancy and parenting without worrying about the latest right-wing law that makes the decision for them. That's exactly what the Women's Health Protection Action would do. Protect Roe, protect the right to abortion at the federal level, and put the decision in the hands of the person who is actually pregnant. So I'm proud of the strong Democratic support this bill has, and our message to Republicans, which you will hear often, is let her decide. Trust women, trust patients, trust doctors, and get out of their way. Americans, including whole generations who have grown up only knowing a world where the right to an abortion was enshrined in the Constitution, are watching. And that's why this vote is so important. And no matter the outcome of this vote in a few minutes, what they will see is this. While Republicans have been working to take decisions out of women's hands now and for decades to come, we are standing with women. And for every American's right to make their own decision about their bodies, their lives, and their future. With that, I will turn it over to our leader, Senator Schumer.
Well, first, thank you, Patty, for your magnificent leadership on this issue, not for years and not even for 10 years, but for many decades. Ever since I've gotten to the Senate, Patty has been an incredible leader on this, and long before that as well. And I thank Dick Blumenthal and Tammy Baldwin as well for their stalwartness on this vital and important issue. Now, so we're here today as a united front on the issue of women's rights, their protection, their health. This evening, the Senate will vote on a simple but urgent question. Will this chamber agree to begin a debate on protecting a woman's fundamental right to make their own health care choices? In fact, it is the first time that the Senate takes a vote on a standalone bill to proactively codify Roe. I want to thank my colleagues, as I mentioned before, for being such great leaders on this issue. As Majority Leader, I have supported these efforts, and I am putting this long overdue guarantee for women's productive rights on the Senate floor. Because every American deserves to know where their senator stands on an issue as important as the right to choose. Many senators don't want to say how they vote when they're on the wrong side of this issue because they know where the public is. And as you know, we are here in the midst of a dangerous set of attacks from Republicans that are having a domino effect on abortion rights across the country. It is a dark, dark time for women's reproductive rights. In the last year alone, we saw the most abortion restrictions passed by state legislatures in a single year. These new restrictions largely fly in the face of public opinion, common sense, and frankly, common decency. We must fight to stop these insidious efforts to curtail a woman's right to access safe, legal abortion, and we must assert the federal government's role to protect this constitutional right. We cannot simply stand by and let this happen. There's too much at stake for millions of American women and families. From the moment Roe was decided, the far right has fixed their sights on one goal: to overturn Roe and undermine women's fundamental rights to choose. The hard right has packed our courts with extremist judges. The hard right has passed draconian restrictions in states like Texas and Mississippi. They have used their amplifiers like state legislators and ideological media channels to keep the flames of anti-choice burning. But for all their efforts, we are here to say we are not intimidated. Democrats are here to throw cold water on those flames and reaffirm 5 sacred words. Abortion is a fundamental right. No, we will not let the right-wing ideologues tell women what to do. We will not stay quiet as they try to turn back the clock on women. We're going to keep working and striving and fighting to preserve the constitutional right and protect access to abortion across the country. Abortion is a fundamental right, and women's decisions over women's health care belong to women, not to extremist right-wing legislators. And now, who goes next? Senator Blumenthal, and I have to excuse myself. We have our leadership meeting 5 minutes ago. So
well, let me begin. I want to begin before Senator Schumer leaves by thanking him for his courage to put this measure on the floor for a vote, which we have been seeking for years, since Senator Baldwin and I first introduced it in 2013, when we had many fewer co-sponsors than we do now. And I thank Senator Baldwin and Senator Murray, as well as Senator Schumer. But most of all, I want to thank the advocates and the activists. They are represented here today, well represented, but there are literally millions across the country who have stayed with this issue, and they will continue to stay with this issue. I want to thank the providers who are risking their lives. As we stand here, they are making possible women controlling decisions about when and whether to become pregnant, the fundamental right that we are seeking to protect. And across the country, the staff of those clinics, I visited Planned Parenthood in New Haven this morning and met with the staff there to tell them, we are going to stand with you. Whatever the result of this vote today, we're going to stand with you, and we're going to hold accountable every senator who votes against this bill. Make no mistake, reproductive freedoms will be on the ballot this November. And we will make sure that the women of America know how you voted, and the men as well. Because reproductive health care is health care for women, but it's not just a woman's right. It is a constitutional right. It affects men as well as women. And I have been proud to stand with those activists since I was a law clerk to Justice Blackmun, right after Roe was decided. We thought then, all done, issue settled, but in fact, the wave of attacks on reproductive rights is only increasing in intensity and frequency. 106 separate laws passed in 19 states, more trigger bans in other states that go into effect banning abortion if Roe is overturned, and the trap laws that are increasing in frequency. So here is the stark, simple truth. The United States Supreme Court will never say, we're overturning Roe v. Wade, but that is what it is on track to do. Let's be very blunt and real. The decision to permit the Texas law, the 6-week ban on abortion, to remain in effect is a strong signal about where this right-wing majority on the court is going. So Mississippi at 15 weeks, It may never say we're overturning Roe v. Wade, but if it upholds that law, the effect is, in fact, to abandon the principles of Roe, which have existed for 50 years. And we are now here to say this law very simply says providers have a right to provide abortion care. Patients have a right to receive abortion care. All of these unnecessary, supposed health care protections masquerading as protections for women's health care, like the width of hallway restrictions and the admitting privilege restrictions, are simply a sham for restricting women's health care and reproductive freedoms. And the people of America are on our side, history's on our side, and we are going to continue with the Women's Health Protection Act, regardless of what the vote is today. And to the question, can you be pro-choice and not support this law? In my view, no. If you're pro-choice, you will support this law. And ultimately, the next step is in November, when we will hold accountable anyone who doesn't support this law. And with that, let me turn to Senator Baldwin.
Well, I want to start where Senator Blumenthal started, which is thanking all the advocates who are here today, standing with us. You are representing so many millions of Americans who have sent a really clear message to Washington that we're not going to stand by and allow the clock to be turned back 50 years on reproductive health care in America. I also want to thank Senator Blumenthal for his leadership in and partnership on the Women's Health Protection Act, and my thanks to Majority Leader Schumer for giving the Senate an opportunity to vote today, and of course my chairman of more than one committee that we sit and labor in together, Health and Human Health and the Appropriations Subcommittee. Thank you for your leadership for so many years. As we all know, Roe versus Wade is the law of the land and has been for generations. But over the last decade, nearly 500 state laws restricting and banning abortion have passed. Last year alone, as you've heard, over 100 abortion restrictions were signed into law, and recent Supreme Court decisions have sought to restrict and even completely block access to legal, available, and affordable abortion care. And the U.S. Supreme Court is poised to decide a direct challenge to Roe, threatening a half-century of precedent and protections. Congress is responsible for enforcing every American's fundamental rights guaranteed by our Constitution. Throughout history, when states have passed laws that make it harder or even impossible to exercise those rights, Congress has taken action to put in place federal protections. The House passed the Women's Health Protection Act last year, and now the Senate has an opportunity to pass our legislation to protect the provider-patient relationship, to protect healthcare professionals that provide care, and to protect the freedom and constitutional right of women to access this care. Today, in just an hour, every senator will have a choice to make on whether they support undermining and infringing on the constitutional rights guaranteed under Roe versus Wade, or do they support protecting the freedom of millions upon millions of Americans to make their own personal decisions about their health care, their body, and their families. The American people deserve to know where we stand on this fundamental question. Let me make it clear where I stand. I support taking action today to safeguard against the medically unnecessary bans and restrictions that are being placed on constitutionally protected reproductive health care, and I support taking action today to pass the Women's Health Protection Act and ensure that every woman has the right to access safe abortion care throughout the United States, no matter where she lives, without unnecessary and unwanted political interference.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. Obviously, this vote hasn't happened yet, but it doesn't look like it's going to be successful. What would your message be to advocates who have worked on this and who now will likely see a Democratic majority unable to successfully move forward on one of the most foundational issues that I hear about from voters?
Well, I would start out by saying we will, as an American people, find out whose side our colleagues are on. And in the fall, we will have some other opportunities to have a pro-choice majority in this country elect a pro-choice majority in the House and Senate.
Yeah, I just say, this is day one. We want Americans to know where their legislators stand on this critical issue. And moving forward, Americans will have a chance and an opportunity to know where they stand. We're not going to give up. We're not going to go away. I don't want to go back to the old days where abortions occurred unsafely, women died. I'm going to keep fighting, and I want Americans fighting with us.
Let me just add one quick point. You know, this issue really shouldn't be partisan. It wasn't partisan for most of that 50 years. And tragically and unfortunately, our Republican colleagues are expected to vote against this measure. The vast majority of our colleagues in the Democratic caucus are not only going to vote for it, and I think all will vote for it, but almost all have co-sponsored it, which shows you, I think, something about us as Democrats. This vote will be a rallying cry in November. And I just want to tell you who's here today to show you the kind of unity we have. Jackie Blank of the Center for Reproductive Rights, Karen Stone of Planned Parenthood, Kate Ryan of NARAL, Lila Abou-Fazli of the National Women's Law Center, Monica Edwards of United for Reproductive and Gender Equity, and Jacqueline Dean of the National Partnership for Women and Families. These are organizations with deep, strong followings. And there are many others that are supporting us as well. This is a mainstream issue. It's not some kind of esoteric fringe issue. This is mainstream America. And frankly, this vote is going to awaken a lot of people, men and women, who grew up taking reproductive rights for granted. I can remember Roe v. Wade, and I remember working for a justice who wrote the opinion in Roe v. Wade, and how revolutionary it seemed at the time. But a lot of people have taken it for granted. We're going to see now that it is as fragile as the Supreme Court majority decides it is.
You've mentioned bringing this to voters in November. Is there more before then that you want Democrats in Congress to do, or the Biden administration on their part on this issue?
Well, obviously, we have to wait for a Supreme Court decision. Let me just say this. I've been here a long time. I've had to vote against numerous bills that Republicans brought forward to take away the right for women to make their own health care choices. This time, we are saying, here's where we stand. We protect Roe. We stand up for women.
Yep.
So on that same case, I was going to ask, should we expect more bills to come up? You guys do not take a lot of votes related to reproductive rights to abortions on the floor. Should I expect this to be a trend, and you guys get a demand for?
This is day one. Yeah. We'll keep our strategy going as we see, obviously, what the Supreme Court does, what other states do.
And I think I missed someone. I apologize. More than one. Sarah Outerson. Thank you, Mariah. of the Center for Reproductive Rights, Nina Sarian of Planned Parenthood, Amy Williams Navarro of NARAL. I spoke to Amy Williams Navarro just over the week. Where is Amy? She ran such a great rally, a Zoom rally over the weekend. Thank you, Amy, of NARAL. So I apologize.
It's all about reading glasses.
Thanks, everyone.